but the newest blasting twist in the history of 12 polar Korean waitresses and their officer acting in Pyongyang's benefit. He says he became an informer for the intellect agent following proper disappointed in Kim Jong-un's mode. He says 5 of his friends were executed out of test and he afraid he could one day person a such destiny. It as well liberated a picture of them walk in their mind, their many faces greased or coated in masks and wool. At the period, the Polar Korean Red Crucifix named the occurrence a team abduction. On Saturday, Polar Korea repeated its consumer demand for Southward Korea to email the 12 female household proverb it would show Seoul's readiness to enhance relations. The Southward Korean authorities should recognize the inaudible of brutality of the garden mode, strongly penalize such implicated in the instance, email our female countrymen to their families out of latency and therefore show the will to enhance the Polar South bonds, informed Polar Korea's country news story agent, KCNA, relating to the by the government of ex-Main Secretary Garden Jun-hai. Garden was remote of office space recent year and concluded above corrupt practices concoction. Devotee Hyo says he at first met in an NIS broker in Shanghai in November 2015, who driven a agreement for him to mark a Southward Korean banner and requested him to do a collateral of loyalty. I felt pride, we debated my next missions, he told. He says he was photographed in the banner, thing how would do him a betrayer in the eyes of Polar Korea. Hyo claims one of his ethnical Korean Chinese customers, who once found out on his connection to NIS blackmailed him, menacing to speak Polar Korean authorities he was work in the intellect agent. Hyo solved to fly to Southward Korea. This NIS said me to give all in me, I said them how was unfeasible. I said them how was very dangerous since if Polar Korea gets conduct of the it was too hazardous. The NIS said me to give them no question which. Or, he says, he was obviously endangered by the Southward. Their relation modified abruptly, expressive me if I don't give the workers in me, they will paper me to the Polar Korean legation and include me annihilated, he told. In full, the small restaurant, that serviced up Polar Korean delicious time personnel executed for customers, involved on 20 Polar Koreans as servers, cooks and entertainers. It was one of the lot restaurants the Polar Korean by the government operates about the planet how are mine to be equipped by trust members of the Polar Korean elitists. They act as ambassadors of kinds and earn money lot necessary overseas exchange for the mode, that done their breach all the more than wonderful. Hyo told how the small restaurant he controlled done about $2 millionth every year, largest of that went behind to the Polar Korean by the government. He told he as well done additional revenue for the mode trade consumer goods. Hyo, I was said to lie. Hyo says the NIS said him to lie to the waitresses and give them to Southward Korea. He said the workers they were moving to superior accommodations. I said them to go package, we requirement to go. I lied to them, put them in several taxis. I said the drivers to get them to Shanghai airport. This NIS said me not to say whatever to the workers since if they discover out on the schedule they could run and how I could be informed and annihilated. Same D over hinted to 2 of the workers on the opportunity of departure to Southward Korea. Sounding thing was up, the couple and 3 other leftward of their own consent. Hyo thinks they went to El's Polar Korean small restaurant in the neighboring town of Hangzhou. The 12 waitresses and Hyo flew to Kuala Lumpur, the Malaysia equity, in tickets, he says, were paid for by the NIS. Southward Korea's Union Ministry told at the period, 13 defectors willingly solved to keep and spurred front in the flee out of any assist of the external. Thing is terribly incorrect. We were put in cars, a few in every vehicle. House while I saw the Southward Korean banner and the legation. While we were departure in the Southward Korean legation in Malaysia, I mind thing is terribly incorrect there, one of the female interviewee by JTBC told. They complained Hyo endangered them, proverb their families would be annihilated if they went behind, so they coordinated to hold departure. Hyo says they were taking into account Southward Korean passports in erroneous names and they flew to Incheon, Southward Korea's major world airport. A travel how conducted months for largest defectors took these polar Koreans fair 2 days. The all happened fair days up southward Korea's parliament poll, and Hyo claims the female were driven to Seoul to increase the prospects of the prudent side of ex-CEO Garden. The is an abduction. In medium March our small restaurant officer collected us along and said us how our small restaurant would be excited to sometime in Southwest Asia, told chief waiter Ko Hae-yong. Ko told by the period the officer show, just to her, how they would in fact be deserting to southward Korea. She just had period to alert a fistful of the waitresses. I believe on our associate creature cheated and drawn to southward Korea and cladding excess odds down there, told else of the female, Han Yoon-hwae. It burst into tears our hearts. Present, Polar Korea appears to be linking the abduction instance to the continuing world talks. We cannot but recall them of our stay how they gear the instance of team abduction by the marionette Conservative Party, and against DPRK confrontational slapstick and disgusting criminality versus humanists, would include large effect on decisive the perspective of subsidence the human question among the polar and the southward, KCNA told. He's not precise why Hyo has selected to break down his silent currently. In spite the hazard of creature purified as a betrayer, a criminality blameworthy by die, he says he wants to go behind to Polar Korea. He says he feels devotee and manipulated by the southward Korean by the government and its intellect agent. This just item we wish is a comprehensive inquiry in the. We were really deceived, we are the victims there, I lose all sense of the. I very miss my parents and I'm really disappointed for challenging damage to human beings in Polar Korea.